Hi, Misha. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
First question, as always, what's your background? What did you do before joining ZeptoLab?
I run several businesses in US and in Russia, and in games industry, I started a company called Reaction, which was doing games for feature phones, and we were a very notable publisher in the United States and in Latin America and Europe. We did mostly games for Brew and Java platforms, and so after that, I done several startups in Russia as well.
And then you joined ZeptoLab.
And then I joined ZeptoLab, yes.
What's the main mission of ZeptoLab? So you purely in game sort of area, or you do some other stuff?
Well, we're certainly a games company, but as you can see, currently games open up the opportunity that hasn't been available to games before because the screen is very widely available now, and therefore we were able to do things like merchandising and licensing programs. We have we will have a TV show coming out sometimes soon with Sony Pictures Television. Live big TV show. That's kind of fun. But primarily, of course, we're a games company, and we continue to do games. And in fact, we're releasing a new game, Pudding Monsters, on December 20th, on Thursday, on iOS and Android. So that is a big thing for us.
Does it have something to do with Cut the Rope, or it's brand new game?
Well, I think the only thing it has to do with Cut the Rope is that the fact you can simply pick up the game and play. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen anybody fail so far. But that's pretty much the only similarity, I would say. So it's very widely available for everybody. It's a purely puzzle game that is kind of fun and simple.
Right, so let's talk a little bit about Cut the Rope, because so far you have Cut the Rope, also Cut the Rope experiments, right?
Yes, correct. And we also have what is called How Big Gift, which is available now on iOS. That's a free app.
Right, so what was the idea? I mean, how did you come up with the idea? And also, many people on Facebook asked you, how did you come up with such a cute character as Om Nom?
So, Warner brothers, Simon and Yefim, they came up with the idea and they told me the story, so I can tell it to you. The story is that there was a previous game by ZeptoLab called Parachute Ninja. In that game, it's a kind of fun game. It actually entered top 10 as well on app stores, but it was a bit too complex. But there was a ninja that has a parachute now, but this parachute used to be a rope. So they took that rope element and wanted to make a game. So they decided to get something from point A to point B by cutting the rope. And then experimenting with a lot of settings that later came the idea to feed a cute character something. So they decided on Candy, and the character was designed to make the game appeal to as wide audience as possible. The character was designed to be kind of cute, childish, with very pure emotions, and also, to exploit your kind of primary instinct of feeding the child. So that's why he's kind of doesn't talk and moves kind of funny. And so that was, I think, the really good game, really good game mechanics, really simple, very innovative, physics puzzle kind of action. You a little bit maybe, because you have to time it just perfectly, and the cute character and the whole setting just made the game really cool.
How many downloads you got so far? Because on the web conference, you mentioned that you had more than 250 million so far.
That's pretty much the same number we have still, right? It's been a few days ago. So yeah, it's over 250 million.
Right. So speaking about the gaming market right now, because we believe that, since there are so many developers right now, it's hard to, stand still and move forward with the competition. So what's the secret? I mean, what's your strategy when it comes to, promoting Cut the Rope and other games?
Well, we've been very fortunate to get to the mindsets of people early on with a lot of keeping the game current, updating it all the time, making sure that smooth the curves a little bit, making sure that more people enjoy it, and making it widely available on lots of platforms, and doing all sorts of partnerships, and making the merchandise, and doing animation shorts, basically prolongs the life of whatever that people fall in love first, right? Because I mean, you might start playing that top game 2 years ago, and you stopped in a month, you're done, right? What else do you do, right? I mean, but you still would know Katrop, and if you see something, if you see Omnom, you see some other game, I mean, you'll get maybe some other content. We have animation again that's been seen by very many people, and right now we just put it in the game as well. So once you play, you see animation, and something comes back. So it's a combination of just making a great game first and foremost, and secondly, supporting it through everything else that you do. But again, I think the way that we're gonna stay current is by making more great games. That is our basic idea.
We have question from Facebook from Wim Hamdan who asked if there are future plans for your company, to develop Omnom personality, a sort of Mickey Mouse cartoon series. Because we know that you have a YouTube episodes, and you just mentioned before that some other series launching. But do you have sort of Mickey Mouse plan?
Look, of course we do to a certain extent, right? I mean, Mickey Mouse is Mickey Mouse, and Omnom is Omnom. They're very different in a variety of ways, but we're continuing to explore. That is the idea. So we recently met some interesting people, and we're trying some very, very new, cool, imagine things. So so far it's too early to tell what it's going to be, right? But what we know for sure is that whenever we introduce Unknown into any sort of medium, people have a great reaction. So that means the brand is powerful, and if we continue to develop it properly, who knows? We'll see.
Right. And then we get a question from Lin Wen. She asked, what your customer. First of all, who is your customer, and then what's your strategy to get customers?
Well, our customers are anybody who can play a game, and the practice shows that it goes from kids who are 2 years old to people that are over 100 years old. In fact, used doctors to recover the patients that had strokes. So that when they regain movement, for finite movement, they actually use our game to do that. So they remember, because physics is very natural, as it turns out to be, right? I mean, nobody thought that mechanics would be natural, but they're natural. So that's a very wide audience. Plus, we know that in countries like Australia or Canada or United States, I mean, we have UK even, we have a third of people that have smartphones have actually a game on their smartphone, and then there are tablets as well, and so that means the whole family gets an experience of a game one way or the other. Because if somebody plays Cutthroat in a household, there's no way that will be kept secret, if you know what I mean, right? So it's a very, very wide audience. The core audience, there are also lots of segments, but it's too detailed plan to go about it. But the general rule is we try to create games like Cutthroat and like our new game, Putting Monsters, that are for everybody. Just pick up and play, basically.
And the idea of merchandising the product. When did you come up with this? And was it fruitful, the whole strategy?
We decided to try it. I mean, agents started knocking on our publisher's door, right? We published the game with Chilling the first time.
All right.
And so apparently, we started receiving some interest from agents, and we decided to try it out. So we tried it, and at first it didn't seem like it would be very successful. So we were told a lot of different things, like you guys only have one character, and you have to have a movie or something. And so first we were kind of discouraged, but then started talking to a lot of people, meeting different type of folks, and figuring out that yes, there could be a strategy, and the strategy would be a longer one, but very cool and big and fruitful. So we decided to follow it along, and so far, I mean, we're following the steps. So the merchandise is now. We have hundreds of contracts signed. We have agents that are selling in United States and Canada, in UK, and in all over Western Europe, Australia, expanding to Asia, Russia. So it's going well. It's going well. But where it's going to be, only future will tell. You know.
Right. So speaking about a new game, Pudding Monsters, what is that we need to know before the official launch? I mean, briefly in a nutshell, what's this about?
Well, the trailers just came out, so it's basically explains what it's all about.
All right, we'll put it below the video then.
Thank you.
Right. So the question about yourself, what's your role as a CEO of the project of ZeptoLab?
It's basically, general managing the company. That is the idea of the CEO. CEO has three simple responsibilities. The first one is to make sure that the right people do the jobs, which means to hire the right people. So that part is very fortunate because I do have great founders who are very professional and they take care of technical and creative. So the rest is sales, marketing, merchandising, setting up the operation, making sure that again there is a studio now because we start with two people. Now there is over 50, and that's just a studio. So the people that actually produce games and making sure that things run and things happen. Designers, artists, game designers, lots of people. Um, so that's one side, and I firmly believe in hiring really great people, right? So we take our time, and so far it's good. I mean, I think we have a great team. Second of all, the job is to make sure that there is money to execute on the plans that we set out. So proper planning and making sure that the high goals that we set can be actually financed properly. So that's the second obvious part. And the third part is I'm a main salesman. So I dress up as a monster and I go on stage and I have a lot of fun doing that.
But I mean, is it hard to sell your product? Because in terms of sellability, sort of things that you do, they speak for themselves, right?
It's very difficult to sell a product if I meet somebody because every time I give somebody an iPad or iPhone, I can hardly get it back. So that is a very cool part. I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence. But selling our product is making it available through app stores and different other channels that have. Sorry, my kid is under the weather, so
Probably playing cut the rope.
yeah, and playing with me too. Um, so the point is that we sell through app stores, right? We distribute our games through app stores. App stores are very interesting economies, and just the pure number of applications and games that are on them is staggering, and it's growing, exponentially. Basically, it's the amount of money that people are now throwing into creating a game on mobile is very much the same as they used to throw it in creating some big title. So the market's quickly moved from huge game budget consoles to smaller, but again, the approach is now very professional. So we're fighting with the best of the best, the biggest of the biggest on those markets. So the only way we can do that is to be more effective in our marketing. And first of all, it's a game itself that we produce. And second of all, we got to get people to talk about it. Because the only marketing that will actually, and the best thing that we can achieve is for you to tell your friend that, look, go check this out.
Word of mouth.
Exactly. And because we have numbers that we have, right, and because we have an install base, we can generate those kind of effects. Obviously supported by social media, supported by all sorts of different events that we do around the world, etc., etc. I mean, and animation and comics and all of those things.
A question from Alexander Chechak. Have you been ever asked to sell your company?
It's very obvious when you have early success, people do approach you. Yes.
All right. And the question from the same person.
There are many, in any other industry. Every industry is very, there's competition, right? There's marketing, there are all sorts of different things that you will experience. So there are many pains, but in order to identify one, it's a very IT kind of plus art, plus creative, plus entertainment really business. So it's a combination, it's a mix of everything, right? And you have to be a very balanced kind of individual or a company in order to be able to succeed. I think that's the biggest pain. The minute you start being forgetting certain elements of this puzzle, you might get into dead end.
So yeah, and that's you foresaw a second question from Bayram Enakov. If you had a time machine, if you could invent time machine, would there be something that you would change on your way? Something that you would do different?
Very many things. But look, it's a very obviously hypothetical question, so it's not a hypothetical answer. But the truth is, yeah, of course, knowing what I know now, again, theoretically, live in the same environment and that I love and that I created, yeah, of course I would. So would I apply my knowledge of what I have now to do something and change my decisions before? Pretty much every day, I can kind of say that because there's something you have to learn every day, and that otherwise it's kind of pointless.
Well, speaking about knowledge and learning, what do you think about the role of academic education for entrepreneurs, for the career of entrepreneur? How important is that to get educated formally?
I'm not educated, so for me it's difficult to say. Um, to me, education just made my desire to do something by myself just so much stronger. But it's about my case, it's about my situation, it's about where I've been. I mean, if I would be in some different college or university, things could have turned out very differently. But when I ended up, I mean, for me, the road was very clear. I just did not want to do that.
Because some people tend to say right now that education is overvalued. University degrees, school degrees. That some people better off, if they just go and try doing stuff. While others keep saying that, you need to have this degree, you need to have this certificate first before trying something else. So would you rather stand somewhere in between?
If you look at the future, right? I mean, if we try to imagine what the classrooms and university rooms will look like 20 years from now, I do think that there will be a combination. I mean, your higher education will be a combination of doing stuff and then discussing basically what went right and what went wrong. Because the speed at which we now make decisions, the speed at which the environment around us changes, I don't think will allow anybody to stay in school for 5 years just studying, right? At the same time, having said that, everybody is different, right? And somebody can just dive in, and other people need a very fundamental basis of stuff to be able to lay any sort of real knowledge upon themselves. So, again, different strokes for different folks, right? I think it has to be more segmented than it is right now. That's what I have to say, because the road that people take that just want to try stuff is considered to be unconventional, or I would say used to consider to be unconventional. I think now it's very conventional.
Right. If we speak about the future of entrepreneurship, do you think that there are some areas, particular areas, that you might actually point out right now as an entrepreneur with an experience? For those people who think that they need to start something, but they don't know where exactly they should go. Do you think there are some particular areas where the fortune is going to be built soon? For the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, they can pick any industry that hasn't been completely revolutionized by internet, meaning internet at large, meaning mobile and everything, and just start figuring out the solutions. Because look at the businesses that are being built. I mean, you have things like Dropbox. Okay, that's your keychain. You have things like Airbnb. That is simply a marketplace for people that used to have some sort of weird way of finding their customers. Look at Uber. Look at so many businesses are built. I mean, Delivery Hero, right? I mean, those businesses are built around just fundamental needs that people have, and weren't fulfilled because internet wasn't there. Simple as that. And if you dig deeper, any sort of enterprise software, that enterprise software is pretty stupid nowadays. Look, you're. I just heard somebody say that. I don't remember at Moscow TechCrunch. That's or somewhere else. I don't remember. But it's like enterprise is supposed to be business class, right? So why is business class so much worse than actually flying business class or going somewhere business class, right? Doesn't make sense. So that has to change. Again, with internet. So just pick anything really. There's so many things out there that need to change.
Do you have any plans to sort of shift into other companies or shift in other industries, or would you like to stay in the same industry?
No, no. Look, ZeptoLab is a gaming company, and we're going to stay a gaming company because it just makes a lot of sense for us. And it's really simple. For example, look, if you create a movie, if you're a company that makes movies, say you even have something amazing like Star Wars, and you have releases every so many years. At the time when you do a release, then you make big bucks. At the time when there's no release, you don't really make big bucks, which means that you cannot consistently grow the company and maintain the level of knowledge and maintain the best people that you can hire for the project because they won't be able to produce other stuff because it just takes too long and there's long cycles. Games that were much different because I mean you can we released Cutthroat 2 years ago, and when we released it, we became number one everywhere on every app store. I think our monthly active usage was something like 5 million, maybe. Daily active usage was even less. I mean, I don't remember the numbers, but
All right.
2 years gone steadily from 5 to 50 million.
Oh,
Even
that's impressive growth.
yeah, even though the game isn't number one on very many markets, I mean, yes, it's always up there, right? That's important. So that means the market is growing, and you have such a huge now we have such a huge user base. We can make more games, and they can enjoy them every time without waiting for 3 years for the next movie to happen. It's a very different dynamic, and you can try new things so much faster. And right now with lesser budgets, I mean, it's just a lot funner industry that way. So ZeptoLab is probably going to stay here for sure, and we'll try to adapt to new platforms as they come.
Do you have any favorite entrepreneur? Someone you can use as a benchmark?
I have a lot of favorite entrepreneurs, which can some of the qualities of them I use as benchmarks. I mean, a lot. The list goes. It's a very long list.
Can you just name a few, couple?
No, I don't think so. It's hard to name somebody, and it's really difficult to name one person that you would identify with because that means you'll follow just somebody. So other than that, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. And the final question before our final part. Uh, can you recommend some book to read? Something on entrepreneurship, something on business and relevant industries? Maybe your favorite one.
Um, I certainly think you should read Predictability Irrational, but then Riley, it's a great book. It's really awesome. It explains a lot of decisions that we make and why we make them.
And the final one, the final part, for those people who are watching us right now and thinking about starting something great but may have some doubt, what would you advise?
Right. It's especially on the internet right now. It's very easy to try. just incredibly easy to try. But if you don't want to do it on the internet, I mean, real life is also offering incredibly easy step opportunities to try something. And one thing you'll learn, at least, it's worth it. Misha Lyalin from ZeptoLab, especially for In2up.